Keep Trade Cut is slashing prices with these unbelievable dirt cheap Dynasty buys. And I'm going to tell you 3 of them that you should go get on your team right now. But first, we got an intro. Roll it. Welcome back to the channel. So glad you could join us. If you like what we're doing over here, please do us a favor. Go down, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and turn them notifications on so you never miss whenever we go live or post new content, which is coming out fast and furious. But first, I got 3 players that are dirt fucking cheap. And when I say dirt cheap, I mean dirt cheap. You couldn't buy these players years ago for the prices that you're seeing now, and all because we play this game called Dynasty, where all of a sudden they're disgusting. They're horrible. Nobody wants them on your team. First off, it's my man Tyler Lockett. Mr. Consistency, Mr. Always Underrated, but somehow, some way, he has sunk to levels never to be seen again. We act like this guy has retired and moved on. Right now, looking at Keep Trade Cut, he's wide receiver 76. 76. And I thought maybe it was just the fine folks over at Keep Trade Cut just fucking around. They don't like Tyler Lockett, so he's going lower. But then I look at South Harmon Superflex ADP. They got him as wide receiver 69. He's going in the 15th round, 1501 to be exact. Last year, Tyler Lockett, not a great year for him by Tyler Lockett standards, which actually have been pretty goddamn high if we acknowledge the greatness that is Tyler Lockett. He was wide receiver 36 in WARP. He put up a .97 WARP. Now, for context, this WARP comes from that quarterback test league that I've been running. It's very, very vanilla. It's 6-point passing touchdowns. But just in relative terms to the rest of the wide receivers, he was a wide receiver 3. Just barely fucking made it, but kind of like horseshoes and hand grenades, just barely making wide receiver 3 still fucking counts in fantasy football. Tyler Lockett is somebody that I want to get on my contending Dynasty teams because the prices are outrageously low. I'm a Jackson Smith and Jigba truther, but even I can acknowledge that until Tyler Lockett officially moves on and stops playing football for the Seattle fucking Seahawks, he's going to be a problem. He is just too good and too trustworthy with all that personnel. Geno Smith has been throwing to him for years. You don't think he still trusts Tyler Lockett? I guarantee you that he does. One of the other factors that I look at when buying Tyler Lockett and why I want him on my team is I was a big fan of what Ryan Grubb did last year with the Washington Huskies. He took them to heights that I don't think we have ever seen. And yes, a lot of it's the head coach, but Ryan Grubb deserves the credit. The last 2 years that he was the offensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies, Ryan Grubb ranked 1st and 2nd in pass yards per game. 1st and 2nd in the entire fucking country. 2022, he was 1st. Last year, 2nd. Are we saying that Seattle's not going to throw the piss out of the football? Come on. Pete Carroll is out the fucking door. It's gone. It's a new regime. It's a new day in Seattle. Let's embrace it. Last year, Seattle was more middle of the road. They were 15th in pass yards per game. Is there a chance that goes up? I fucking say yes. Here's the other thing. Tyler Lockett in a down season still had a 22.3% target share. For a down year for Tyler Lockett, for a middle-of-the-road passing offense, now they get Ryan Grubb in. We expect the volume to go up. We expect the yardage per game to go up. We expect the attempts to go up. We expect maybe Tyler Lockett has a little bit of a career resurgence. Maybe just one more year left in the tank. Maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the final year, and he's done, and he falls off a cliff. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But at wide receiver 76 prices on Keep Trade Cut, I'm going to fuck around and find out. At 1501 ADP in a startup, I'm going to fuck around and find out. Real life Dynasty trades involving Tyler Lockett. I have Tyler Lockett here for the 312. I have Tyler Lockett here for Trey fucking Tucker. If Trey Tucker could do half of what Tyler Lockett has done in his career, Trey Tucker's going to feel really good about himself. No offense, Trey. And lastly, Tyler Lockett for the 407? Jesus, that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not saying on your rebuilding teams to go out and buy Tyler Lockett. If you want to and maybe flip him early in the season, sure, go for it. But if you're any type of a contender, you're playing in that middle, for these fucking prices, I'm buying all in on Tyler Lockett. How about we move on to the second guy? And before I get into this, I have been a notable hater of this player. I have given people so much shit for their trutherisms of this player over the years, but listen here. Listen closely. Come here. Come a little closer. I'm in this year. I'm in on Gabe fucking Davis. I didn't like him in the past. I thought he was overvalued, overrated. He was just meh. A best ball wide receiver. Maybe that kind of guy that you have on your bench in a lineup league that possibly maybe 1 or 2 weeks you could plug in to a flex position just to get you by in a pinch. But people were hyping him up as he was a wide receiver too. Go get Gabe Davis. He's an integral part to my fantasy success. And that was bullshit. I think we all learned that last year. But Gabe Davis disrespect has to stop right here and now. Even I have my limits. I am all in on Gabe Davis. Fuck, I might fuck around and get a Gabe Davis jersey. We'll put it up right next to Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey. Gabe Davis right now is going as Keep Trade Cuts wide receiver 73. A little better than Tyler Lockett, but not by much. He is ADP of wide receiver 68. Literally one spot before Tyler Lockett, the 14-12. So a lot of the same principles apply also to Gabe Davis. Warp-wise, a little bit worse last year. It was a really bad year for Gabe Davis, to be completely honest. 0.56 warp, wide receiver 45. Okay, I can live with that though. Here's one of the key things when looking at Gabe Davis. Calvin Ridley is fucking gone. He's in Nashville. He's playing Broadway girls. He's out the fucking door. Peace. Calvin Ridley last year, while not the rebound that everybody hoped, 28 deep targets. That was 8th in the entire fucking league. Calvin Ridley was up there. What does Gabe Davis do best? Run deep. Gabe Davis, Calvin Ridley replacement? Yes, I know Brian Thomas is there, but if you want to add on, Brian Thomas is not taking all 28 deep targets. He's also not taking the 12 deep targets that Zay Jones is not there anymore for. So is there a little piece of that pie for Gabe Davis to run deep? And maybe, just maybe, we saw Trevor Lawrence really want to air it out to Calvin Ridley last year? And I don't know if it's a stretch to say that I think maybe Gabe Davis might be a little bit better running 9 routes down the field than Calvin Ridley. Call me crazy. My own personal opinion. Brian Thomas will get work, and I am excited for Brian Thomas' Dynasty future. But I'm not going to rely on a Brian Thomas in 2024 to carry my fantasy championship, especially at the prices it costs. This is the way of Dynasty. Youth gets pushed up, and old, aging, crusty vets like Gabe Davis go right down into the fucking toilet. Here's some trades that Gabe Davis has actually gone for via the lab on SouthHarmonFF.com. Gabe Davis for Dameon Pierce. Gabe Davis for Dameon fucking Pierce. Okay, that's a good one. How about this one? Sam Darnold for Mac Jones and Gabe Davis. Sam Darnold, Mac Jones, no difference. Gabe Davis, just free. Count me in. Excuse me, I had to read this one twice. It's so fucking bad. Gabe Davis and a third. Gabe Davis and a third. For Michael Mayer? The guy that just had Brock Bowers drafted to his team in front of him? I don't know what that one was about. But at these prices, if people hate Gabe Davis that much, if he is really even an iota close to what this keep trade cut value says, if he's really even an iota close to what this ADP is, if I strike out on the first guy I recommended in Tyler Lockett, sign me up for Gabe Davis. And Jesus, with some of these trades, you might be able to land both of them. Apparently all you need is a Michael Mayer. And last, but not certainly least, I have the third player, the third deep value guy that you can go get on your rosters right now to possibly push you over that edge come championship time, Chuba Hubbard. And I know, before you get there, Mike, they just drafted Jonathan Brooks. I know, I love Jonathan Brooks too. This isn't a shot at Jonathan Brooks, so pump the brakes, keep watching. I got you. Right now, Chuba Hubbard's going as the RB64. Jesus. The people that are around Chuba Hubbard would blow your mind. Just go check it out. Go see where he is. ADP-wise, he's going off the board as RB48. So listen, in startups, people like him a little bit more. He goes in the 15th round as well, 1506. Last year in Warp, it was okay. Chuba Hubbard wasn't anything spectacular. He put up a .788 warp, good enough for RB28. He was a nice little flex play, spot start running back. He gave you nice consistency. It wasn't beautiful, but he did it. And he did it to the tune of averaging under a 60% opportunity share. Think about that. We think Miles Sanders was completely dust. There's nobody else in that backfield. Chuba Hubbard for the season was under 60% of opportunity share in that Carolina backfield. He wasn't blowing people out of the water, and I don't think any of his advanced metrics really screamed to me, man, Chuba Hubbard is super explosive, kind of like what we thought in college. Granted, it was the Big 12. Granted, it was Oklahoma State. I understand that shit gets a little bit inflated, and he's not quite as fast. He's not quite as breakaway as we like, but Chuba Hubbard was just solid. He did what he needed to. Under 60% opportunity share, yet he still produced 10.7 fantasy points per game. I'm not saying Chuba Hubbard is going to be a league winner for you. I'm talking about adding some depth, maybe a flex position, maybe a nice third running back. We're playing this game a lot now with our Dynasty rosters, where fuck them running backs. We don't want them. Just give us any RB on a 53. Chuba Hubbard's standing right in front of you, telling you he's a value. And why do I think he's a value? Jonathan Brooks is, one, a rookie. Sometimes it takes a little bit for rookies to acclimate to the league, even at the running back position. And the late season surge of rookie running backs, it's a thing. It happens. Jonathan Taylor started slow. Breece Hall started slow-ish. Most rookie running backs struggle at the beginning of the season. They cede work to the veterans because the veterans can be trusted. They have been there. They know the scheme. They know pass blocking. They know it all. They run the correct routes and they hold on to the goddamn football. I'm not saying Jonathan Brooks can't do that right away, but here's the other thing. Jonathan Brooks coming off a knee injury. Pretty serious one. An ACL. Not as bad as maybe a Keaton Mitchell, not as bad as Javonte Williams or J.K. Dobbins a couple years ago, and certainly not as bad as all the damn injuries Cam Akers have had. But he's still coming off an injury, which is going to take time to be eased in. He might be a pup candidate to start the season. He might start out on IR. Even if he's fully ready to go for week 1, he's probably getting eased in. And that's where Chuba Hubbard comes in. Chuba Hubbard is cheap production. A guy who's going to have a role early in the season, and that's more than you can say for a lot of these running backs, especially us looking at any RB on a 53. Chuba Hubbard is probably the safest out of a lot of these guys because a lot of these guys aren't going to make the team. They're going to join the practice squad, and then they don't technically fit any RB on a 53 because they're not on a 53. But right now, Chuba Hubbard is trading for 2025 third, 2026 third. Real life trade here. I got one. 2024 412 or Chuba Hubbard. Give me Chuba Hubbard if I'm contending. Honestly, go out and see if you can get Chuba Hubbard. Maybe get him tossed into a deal. And if you want to trade for him outright, 4th round pick might do it. Might actually do it. Or maybe 312. If you're projecting to be a contender, trading away my 2025 third. Well, I'm not doing it right now. Maybe I can get a sweetener in. Maybe I can buy all 3 of these guys for my 2025 third. Looking at some of these trades, I wouldn't doubt that maybe there's some manager out there who just wants to get rid of all these old crusties. But if you like some of these Dynasty buys, let me know down in the comments who you buying. Show me. Maybe you already bought some. Maybe you're ahead of the game. Like, Mike, I don't even fucking need you. But thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate everybody. I am out of this thing. Peace.